At the corner of Avenida 27 in Calimango, a small coconut water stand stood quietly under the shade of a towering palm tree. The stand was built from old wooden planks that Aaliyah Carter, a 12-year-old girl with bright eyes and a radiant smile, had painted green herself. A handwritten sign, carefully drawn in white chalk, hung in front. Fresh coconut water, $2 cup. Beside it, a smaller note added with a touch of pride. Handcrafted by Aaliyah. On the wooden table sat a stack of clear plastic cups, a glass pitcher filled with coconut water mixed with lemon and honey, and a small machete Aaliyah used to chop fresh coconuts she bought from the weekend farmer's market. Aaliyah sat on a red plastic chair, wiping sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. She wore a bright yellow t-shirt with the words "Dream Big" printed boldly, her hair neatly braided into two pigtails. Though the heat flushed her cheeks, her eyes remained sharp, scanning every passerby in hopes they'd stop for a cup. This coconut water stand wasn't just a summer pastime. For Aaliyah, it was a mission. Every $2 she earned was a small step toward her dream, securing a STEM scholarship for high school, so one day she could design spaceships and soar among the stars. Aaliyah's mother, Marissa Carter, worked the day shift at a public supermarket and nights at a laundromat a few blocks away. She always told Aaliyah she was mama's light, but Aaliyah knew how hard her mother struggled to pay rent and keep food on the table. Aaliyah didn't want her mom to worry about college tuition down the road. "If I start now," Aaliyah often told herself, "I won't need to depend on anyone when I grow up." That thought made her smile, even as the heat glued her t-shirt to her back. Today was a slow day. A few neighbors had stopped by. Mr. Hector from the auto shop bought a cup and said the coconut water was sweet like childhood memories, while Lena, the florist down the street, traded a bouquet of daisies for 2 cups for her kids. But Aaliyah hadn't reached her goal of selling 20 cups, one she'd set for herself. She was about to pull out her phone to watch a SpaceX rocket video when a tall figure appeared at the end of the street, catching her eye. The man jogged with a steady rhythm, his black sneakers hitting the pavement in a rhythmic thump-thump. He wore a gray tank top and black shorts, sweat glistening on his tan skin. His presence was unmistakable. Broad shoulders, chiseled muscles, and an aura of both strength and calm. Aaliyah recognized him immediately, not just from YouTube videos, but because last week he'd spoken at the nearby community center about overcoming hardships. It was Mike Tyson, the boxing legend who once ruled the ring and now inspired the next generation. Tyson slowed as he approached the stand, wiping his forehead with his wrist. He stopped, let out a long breath, and glanced at Aaliyah's sign with a faint smile. "Fresh coconut water, huh?" he said, his voice deep and slightly raspy but warm. "Little lady, you think this stuff can save me from this killer heat?" Aaliyah laughed, hopping off her chair. "I guarantee it, Mr. Tyson. It's the best way to cool off. Better than ice water. I mix it with lemon and a bit of honey. My special recipe." Tyson raised an eyebrow, looking impressed. "Special recipe? All right, I'm sold. How can I say no to a salesperson this confident?" He rummaged in his pocket and pulled out a crumpled $5 bill. Aaliyah swiftly grabbed a coconut from the ice bucket, set it on the table, and swung her machete with surprising precision. One clean chop split the coconut open, revealing the clear liquid inside. She poured it into the glass pitcher, added a splash of lemon and a drizzle of honey, stirred it, and filled a large plastic cup. "Here you go," she said, handing it to Tyson with a proud smile. Tyson took the cup, sipped deeply, and nodded in approval. "You weren't kidding. This is good. Takes me back to Brooklyn days when we had sugarcane juice to get through the summer." He looked at Aaliyah, curiosity in his eyes. "But tell me, why's a kid like you out here selling coconut water instead of playing at the park or watching movies?" Aaliyah shrugged, but her eyes lit up as she spoke of her goal. "I'm saving up. I want to join a STEM program in high school for science and engineering. I dream of being an aerospace engineer, building ships that fly to space. My mom works so hard, so I want to take care of my own future." Tyson stopped drinking, eyeing her with a mix of surprise and respect. "Aerospace? That's a big dream, kid. How old are you?" 12, Aaliyah replied, holding her head high. "But I know what I want. If I start now, I'll have a better shot later." Tyson grinned, setting the cup down. "I like how you think. Most folks wait till they're grown to dream big, but you're already miles ahead. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a thick stack of bills, counted quickly, and placed $12,000 bills on the wooden table. Here, consider it an investment in a future star. Aaliyah's eyes widened and she stepped back. You're joking, right? I can't take that much money. It's too much. Tyson crossed his arms, his gaze serious but kind. I'm not joking. This isn't charity, Aaliyah. You work hard, and I see the fire in you. This money will get you closer to those stars you want to reach. Just promise me one thing. Aaliyah swallowed, still in disbelief. What's that? When you make it, and I know you will, find someone else who needs help and do something for them, like I'm doing for you today. Aaliyah blinked, a wave of emotion washing over her. She nodded firmly, her voice trembling. I promise. I won't let you down. Tyson tapped the table lightly and winked. Good girl. Now I gotta keep running before this heat knocks me out. He turned, waved goodbye, and jogged down the street, his figure fading behind the palm trees. Aaliyah stood behind her coconut water stand, eyes sparkling as she looked at the tin box now holding the stack of money Mike Tyson had left. $12,000, a sum bigger than any dream she'd dared to imagine. She carefully checked the lid, tucking the box deep under the table, hidden by stacks of plastic cups. Her heart raced, not just from the money, but from Tyson's words. When you succeed, find someone else to help. That promise ignited a small flame within her, making Miami's heat feel insignificant. But the neighborhood's peace didn't last long. From a distance, a piercing sound cut through, a buzzing like insects mixed with the clatter of metal. Aaliyah looked up, squinting down the street. 5 figures emerged, 3 rickety BMX bikes gliding along the sidewalk, followed by a black motorcycle spewing smoke. Their riders looked anything but friendly. They wore torn tank tops and faded jeans, some with jagged tattoos snaking down their arms. Leading them was a tall guy with close-cropped hair and a glinting silver chain. He held a baseball bat, tapping it lightly against his hand as if keeping time to a song only he could hear. Aaliyah recognized him instantly. Rico Delgado, a name kids in the neighborhood whispered with fear. Rico wasn't local, but he and his crew often showed up in Coconut Grove to stir trouble, from petty theft at shops to intimidating street vendors. Rumor had it Rico got expelled from school for hitting a teacher, and now he survived by collecting protection fees from those weaker than him. Aaliyah clenched her fists, forcing a calm expression as Rico's group stopped in front of her stand, dust swirling under their wheels. Rico propped one foot on the ground, his motorcycle roaring once before falling silent. He tilted his head, eyeing Aaliyah's sign with a smirk. Fresh coconut water, $2 a cup, he said, his voice rough and mocking. Who do you think you are, kid, charging that much? Aaliyah stood tall, crossing her arms. It's a fair price. I do everything myself. Chop the coconuts, mix the water. If you don't want it, fine. Her voice was firm, but inside her heart pounded. She glanced toward the neighborhood, hoping someone, Mr. Hector, Lena, anyone, would pass by. But the street was suddenly quiet, save for the distant laughter of kids. One of the group, Joey, a scrawny guy with greasy blonde hair, hopped off his bike and sauntered to the stand. He leaned down, inspecting the picture like it was some alien object. Fair, Joey chuckled, showing stained teeth. I think you're scamming folks with this stuff. You sure it's real coconut water, or just tap water with sugar? It's real, Aaliyah shot back, her voice sharp. You want to try it, pay first. Rico laughed, a dry sound like his motorcycle's engine. Listen to this kid, boys. She thinks she owns the block. He stepped off his bike, his bat thumping the wooden table, knocking a few cups to the ground. I got a better idea. You give us each a cup, free. Call it a welcome gift. Aaliyah shook her head, gripping the pitcher tightly. I don't do free. Want a drink? $2 like everyone else. Cold sweat trickled down her spine, but her eyes stayed locked on Rico. She remembered her mom's words. Never let anyone think they can bully you. Joey sneered, grabbing a cup and filling it from the pitcher without asking. He took a big gulp, then spat it onto the ground. Disgusting! You call this coconut water? I've had better from a sewer. The others roared with laughter, and another guy, pockmarked, named Carl, snatched the pitcher from Aaliyah's hands, pouring some onto the sidewalk, leaving wet streaks. That's mine, Aaliyah shouted, yanking the pitcher back before they could waste more. You owe me $2 now. Rico raised an eyebrow, feigning surprise. Oh? You hear that, boys? This kid thinks I owe her. He leaned in, his face inches from Aaliyah's, his breath reeking of cigarettes. Listen, kid, I don't owe nobody nothing. But you better wise up, or this stand's gonna be firewood. At that moment, Joey's eyes flicked under the table, spotting Aaliyah's tin box, poorly hidden. A corner of the cash stack peeked out, the $1,000 bills glinting like a beacon. Joey whistled, pointing. Yo, Rico, check it out. This kid's richer than we thought. Rico turned, his smirk twisting into something dangerous. Oh, what's this? Hiding treasure under there, kid? He reached for the box, but Aaliyah was faster, shoving his hand away and clutching it to her chest. That's my money, she yelled, her voice shaking but resolute. I earned it, and you've got no right to touch it. Carl cackled, but Rico didn't laugh. His eyes darkened, like a shark smelling blood. Earned? You? I don't buy it. Maybe you stole it from your mom, or some fool who left cash lying around. Hand it over and I'll hold it for you. Aaliyah backed up, her back hitting the palm tree behind the stand. She glanced around, but the street was deserted. No Mr. Hector, no Lena, no one. Just her and 5 thugs closing in, Rico's bat tapping steadily like a threat. She swallowed hard, clutching the box, her mind racing for a way out. Rico raised his bat, not to strike, but to intimidate. Don't test me, kid. Give me that box or I'll take it myself. He stepped closer, his shadow blocking the sunlight from Aaliyah's face. But before Rico could touch her, a deep voice cut through from behind, sharp as a blade slicing the air. I'd stop right there if I were you. The thug spun around and Aaliyah looked up, her heart leaping as she saw a familiar figure. Mike Tyson stood there, a few yards away, sweat still glistening on his shoulders from his run. He crossed his arms, his piercing gaze sweeping over each of them, fearless. His presence was like an invisible wall, making Rico and his crew instinctively step back. Rico regained his composure, forcing a smirk despite his unease. Well, look who's here. Old man sticking his nose in other people's business, huh? This ain't your ring, Pops. Tyson didn't budge, just tilted his head slightly. Not a ring, true, but if you want to make it one, I'm game. His voice was calm, but each word carried the weight of dozens of boxing matches he'd won. Aaliyah felt a spark of hope, but still held the box tightly, not daring to let go. She looked at Tyson, then at Rico, knowing things were about to explode. Joey, unable to stand the silence, stepped forward, fists clenched. Who do you think you are, huh? There's 5 of us and 1 of you. He lunged at Tyson, throwing a clumsy punch at his face, but Tyson was faster than a panther. He leaned aside, dodging the punch like it was a breeze, then landed a quick jab to Joey's chest. Joey stumbled, collapsing onto the sidewalk, clutching his chest and gasping. Carl, seeing his buddy down, roared and swung a glass bottle at Tyson. Tyson caught Carl's wrist midair, twisting it gently, making him scream and drop the bottle. A light push sent Carl sprawling next to Joey, his face pale. 2 others, sensing trouble, charged together, one with a chain, the other with a piece of wood from a nearby trash pile. Tyson didn't flinch. He ducked under the chain, yanked it from the guy's hand, and wrapped it around his wrist, pulling him down face first. The one with the wood got a quick jab to the stomach, light but enough to make him crumple, groaning. Rico stood frozen, his bat trembling in his hand. He stared at his crew scattered on the ground, then at Tyson, who hadn't even broken a sweat. You think you've won? Rico growled, but his voice lacked its earlier bravado. Tyson stepped closer, just a foot away from Rico. I don't want to fight you, but if you touch this girl or her money again, you won't get up so easy. He pointed at Aaliyah, his eyes never leaving Rico. This kid works hard. You just bully. Who's the real loser here? Rico gritted his teeth, his face flushing with anger and humiliation. The bat in his hand shook, as if holding back a storm inside him. His crew, Joey, Carl, and the other 2, lay scattered on the sidewalk, some clutching their chests, others their stomachs, whimpering like beaten dogs. Mike Tyson stood before Rico, tall and unmoving, his gaze sharp as a steel blade. The air between them was heavy, like a single spark could ignite everything again. Aaliyah clung to the tin box, standing behind her wrecked coconut water stand. Her heart pounded, but not from fear anymore. Seeing Tyson there, protecting her without hesitation, she realized she wasn't alone. Still, Rico's glare sent chills down her spine. He wasn't like typical bullies. There was something in how he looked at her, as if this wasn't just about money, but a fight to prove he was still the toughest. Rico took a deep breath, trying to reclaim his arrogance. "Who do you think you are, old man?" he snarled, his voice cracking slightly. "This ain't no boxing ring. You can't scare me." Tyson tilted his head, a faint smile crossing his lips. "I don't need to scare you," he said, his voice low and steady. "But I see you messing with a kid who's working hard. This girl's got dreams, goals. What have you got besides that bat and your buddies on the ground?" Tyson's words hit like an invisible punch. Rico blinked, his face flickering with uncertainty, but he quickly masked it with a harsh laugh. "Dreams? That stuff's not real here, old man. This neighborhood's got no room for a kid's dumb dreams." He pointed at Aaliyah, his eyes full of contempt. She needs to know her place. Aaliyah gripped the box tighter, a fiery heat spreading through her chest. "My place is right here," she shouted, her voice echoing in the quiet street. "I didn't do anything wrong, and I won't let you take what's mine." Rico turned to her, his gaze darkening. For a moment it seemed he might lunge, but Tyson stepped forward, positioning himself between him and Aaliyah. "You heard her," Tyson said, his voice low but powerful. "Now take your friends and get out of here before I lose my patience." Joey, now crawling to his feet, tugged at Rico's sleeve. "Come on, Mako. This guy's no joke. Let's go." Carl and the other two staggered up, bruised and avoiding Tyson's eyes. But Rico stood still, gripping his bat so tightly his knuckles whitened. Finally, he spat on the ground, turned to his motorcycle and growled, "This ain't over, old man." He climbed on and revved the engine, the roar shattering the neighborhood's calm. "And you, kid," he shot a final glance at Aaliyah, "you'll regret not handing over that cash." His crew scrambled onto their bikes, wobbling after Rico as he sped off, leaving a cloud of dust in their wake. Aaliyah exhaled, feeling like a weight had lifted off her chest. She set the box on the table, her hands trembling. Tyson turned to her, his eyes softening. "You okay, kid?" he asked, his voice full of care. She nodded, but tears welled in her eyes. I'm okay. I just didn't expect this." She looked at the stand. Shattered cups, the tilted pitcher, the fresh coconut water sign knocked askew. "I thought they'd leave me alone, but they really wanted my money." Tyson knelt to her level, resting a hand on her shoulder. "Listen, Aaliyah. Guys like them, they don't get what it means to work hard. They think bullying's the only way to get what they want. But you did the right thing. You stood up for yourself. That's what matters most." Aaliyah wiped her tears, managing a small smile. "I just want to keep that money for the STEM program. I don't want Mom worrying anymore. But what if they come back, Mr. Tyson? I'm not strong like you." Tyson smiled, warm but confident. "Strength isn't just muscles, kid. When I was young, I got picked on too. Thought I had nothing to fight back with. But I learned real strength is here." He tapped his chest. "It's courage. It's not giving up. You've already got both." His words fueled Aaliyah's resolve. She nodded, stood taller, and started picking up the broken cups. Tyson helped, lifting the fallen sign and setting it straight. They worked quietly for a bit, with only the sound of birds and distant salsa music in the background. The neighborhood slowly returned to life. Mr. Hector appeared down the street with his old bike and leaned away from her flower shop. But Aaliyah knew today had changed her. She wasn't just a kid selling coconut water anymore. She was fighting for something bigger. When the stand was mostly clean, Tyson stood, brushing his hands. "You good if I head out?" he asked, looking at her with a hint of concern. Aaliyah nodded firmly. "I'm good, Mr. Tyson. Thank you. For everything. I won't forget what you said." Tyson tapped the table. "That's my girl. If you need me, you know where to find me." He winked, turned, and jogged down the street, his figure blending into the golden Miami afternoon. Aaliyah watched him go, clutching the tin box. She felt a new strength inside her, but deep down she knew Rico wasn't the type to give up. She glanced at the street where the thugs had vanished, a flicker of unease passing through her. But she shook her head, telling herself, "I won't let them win." She grabbed a fresh coconut, set it on the table, and picked up her machete with renewed determination. The sunset in Coconut Grove draped the neighborhood in a vibrant orange curtain, streaked with hints of purple and soft pink. Streetlights flickered on, casting a gentle golden glow onto the sidewalk, where palm tree shadows stood silently. The sound of waves from Biscayne Bay echoed faintly, mingling with the chirping of crickets in the grass, creating a peaceful melody for the Miami evening. But that peace was only skin deep. For Aaliyah Carter, standing behind her small coconut water stand, her heart pounded with an uneasy premonition. She had just stacked the last of the plastic cups, preparing to close up. It had been a long day. From the moment Mike Tyson gifted her $12,000 to the tense confrontation with Rico Delgado and his gang of thugs. Her coconut water stand was tidied. The fresh coconut water, 2-cup sign set straight, but traces of the chaos lingered. A crack in the wooden table, a few broken cups, and an unease that clung to her. Aaliyah checked the tin box holding the money, now secured with a rubber band, and tucked it deep under the table. Just get home safe, she told herself, glancing at the empty street. But before she could lock up, a familiar sound tore through the silence. The roar of a motorcycle engine, accompanied by the clatter of bike wheels and arrogant shouts, echoed from the end of the road. Aaliyah's head snapped up, her blood running cold. She knew that sound. She had hoped Rico would give up after Tyson's beating, but deep down, she knew he wasn't the type to let go easily. 7 figures emerged in the dim glow of dusk, like phantoms advancing from a nightmare. Rico Delgado led the way, riding his sleek black motorcycle, his eyes flashing with anger and cold determination. Beside him were Joey, Carl, and 3 familiar faces from earlier. But this time, 2 new guys joined them. Bigger, meaner, one gripping a rusty chain, the other clutching a folding knife that glinted under the streetlights. They stopped in front of the stand, blocking every path, forming an inescapable circle. Rico killed the engine and stepped off, his baseball bat tapping rhythmically against his palm. He didn't smile or mock like before. Instead, his face was taut, like a cornered animal. "I told you, kid," he growled, his voice low and dangerous. "You and that old man thought we'd let it slide? Hand over the box now, or I swear I'll smash this stand. And you with it." Aaliyah clutched the tin box, backing up until her back hit the palm tree behind the stand. Sweat rolled down her forehead, but her gaze remained steady. "That's my money," she said, her voice trembling but unyielding. "I earned it. You've got no right to take it, no matter how many goons you bring." Joey cackled, the chain in his hand jingling. "Listen to this kid, Rico. She still thinks she's the hero in some superhero flick." Carl, his face still bruised from the earlier fight, spat on the ground. "Let me teach her a lesson, Mako." Rico raised a hand to stop Carl, his eyes never leaving Aaliyah. "You've got one last chance," he said, his voice hissing through gritted teeth. "Give me the money, or I'll take it myself." He stepped closer, raising the bat, ready to smash the wooden table. Aaliyah gripped the box tighter, her heart pounding. She glanced around, but the street was deserted. No Mr. Hector, no Lena, no one. Just her and 7 thugs, with the blood-red sunset behind them. She thought of her mom, her STEM dream, and Tyson's words about real strength. "No," she whispered, then shouted, "No, I'm not giving you anything." Rico roared, swinging the bat down toward the stand. But before it could hit the table, a deep voice cut through the darkness, sharp as thunder in a clear sky. "I'd stop there unless you want to know what a real knockout feels like." The thugs spun around and Aaliyah looked up, her heart leaping as she saw Mike Tyson step out from the street corner. He wore his gray tank top, sweat glistening on his shoulders, but his eyes were sharp and eerily calm. He stood there, broad shoulders like a wall, facing all 7 without a hint of fear. His presence shifted the air, as if a cold wind had swept through the neighborhood. Rico blinked, a flash of panic crossing his face before he regained his bravado. "You again, old man," he snarled, gripping the bat tighter. "You won't get off easy this time. There's 7 of us, and I swear you're going to the hospital." Tyson crossed his arms, a faint smile flickering on his lips. 7 or 70 doesn't matter. You touch this kid, you're dealing with me. And trust me, that's a big mistake. Aaliyah felt a spark of hope but still hugged the box, pressing against the palm tree. She knew Tyson was strong, but 7 guys with bats, knives, and chains? She didn't want him hurt because of her. Mr. Tyson, she whispered, but he glanced over, his eyes reassuring, as if to say, it's okay. Rico couldn't stand the silence any longer. Get him, he yelled, and all seven charged like a pack of starving wolves. Tyson moved like lightning, his reflexes as sharp as ever, despite years away from the ring. The guy with the chain came first, swinging it at Tyson's head. Tyson ducked, dodging it like a breeze, then landed a quick jab to the guy's chest. A loud oof rang out as he collapsed, the chain clattering to the sidewalk. Carl, still not learning from last time, rushed in with a piece of wood, but Tyson caught his wrist, twisting it gently, making the wood drop. A firm shove sent Carl face first into the grass. Two others attacked together, one throwing a punch, the other aiming a kick at Tyson's legs. Tyson sidestepped the punch, blocked the kick with his forearm, then delivered an uppercut to the first guy's chin. He fell back, eyes glazed. The second guy panicked, flailing wildly. But Tyson grabbed his shoulder, yanked him forward, and tossed him over his shoulder like a judo move. He crashed into a nearby trash can, the lid flying off. Aaliyah stood behind the stand, eyes wide with awe and fear. She'd never seen anyone move so fast, so powerfully. Tyson wasn't just fighting, he was making a statement. Rico, watching his crew fall one by one, roared and charged, aiming his bat at Tyson's shoulder. Tyson raised his arm, the bat slamming into his forearm with a sharp crack, but he didn't flinch. He snatched the bat from Rico's hands, snapped it in half like a twig, and tossed it aside. Rico stumbled back, pulling a folding knife from his pocket, its blade glinting under the streetlights. You want to die, old man? He screamed, lunging. Tyson didn't move until the last second. As the blade neared his chest, he leaned aside, grabbing Rico's wrist in a steel grip. Rico yelped in pain as Tyson twisted his arm, making the knife drop to the pavement. With a swift move, Tyson shoved Rico against the stand, rattling the wooden table. Rico struggled, but Tyson held his shoulder firmly, his gaze piercing. Enough, he said, his voice low but commanding. You're done. Joey, the last one standing, tried grabbing the chain to attack from behind, but Tyson spun just in time, landing a light punch to his stomach. Joey crumpled, gasping. All seven now lay scattered, some groaning, some still, none daring to get up. Tyson released Rico, letting him slump to the ground, clutching his shoulder in pain. He stood tall, breathing evenly, not a scratch on him. Take your friends and get out, he said, his tone flat. Don't let me see you back here. Rico looked up, his face red with humiliation. You'll pay, he muttered, but his threats lacked strength. He staggered to his feet, signaling his crew. Some crawled to their bikes, another dragged the motorcycle up. The engine roared as they sped off, their figures dissolving into the dark street. Aaliyah exhaled, feeling like she'd escaped a hurricane. She set the box on the table, her hands still shaking. Tyson turned to her, his eyes softening. You okay, kid? He asked, stepping over to check the stand. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks, but she quickly wiped them away. I thought they'd take everything, but you saved me. She looked around. The stand was still there, though the table wobbled and a few cups lay broken. Why'd you do it? I'm just a kid selling coconut water. Tyson knelt to her level. Because you're not just a kid selling coconut water, Aaliyah. You're someone with dreams, with courage. Guys like them want to crush that, but I won't let them, and neither did you. Aaliyah gave a weak smile, warmth spreading through her. She looked at the box, then at Tyson. I won't give up, she said, her voice steadier. I'll keep my promise to you. Tyson patted her shoulder and stood. That's the spirit. Now let's clean this stand before your mom comes home and thinks we started a fight club. He winked and Aaliyah laughed, feeling lighter for the first time that day. She laughed again, tucking the money into her pocket. She watched Tyson jog off down the street, his figure fading into Miami's hazy glow. She locked up the stand, hugged the tin box, and headed home, her heart full of hope. But deep down, she still worried Rico and his gang might return. She shook her head, telling herself, I won't let them steal my dream. The next morning, Miami's sunlight bathed the neighborhood in brilliance. Aaliyah reopened her coconut water stand, determined not to let fear stop her. She chopped a fresh coconut, mixed it with lemon and honey, and set out her sign. Mr. Hector stopped by, buying a cup and calling her braver than a firefighter. Lena brought a bouquet of daisies, saying, "Kid, you've made the whole neighborhood proud." Aaliyah smiled, but her eyes stayed wary, scanning the street at every odd sound. Mid-morning, a familiar figure appeared. Rico Delgado approached, alone. No motorcycle, no bat. He wore a torn tank top, his hair matted with sweat, his usual arrogance gone. Aaliyah gripped her machete, heart racing, but she stood firm behind the stand. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice steady. Rico stopped, raising both hands like a surrender. I'm not here to cause trouble," he said, his voice hesitant. He looked down, then at her, his eyes full of shame. "Last night, after Tyson took us down, my crew ditched me. I sat alone thinking about what you said, about your dream. I was jealous, kid. You're so small, but you know what you want. Me? I just bullied to feel strong." Aaliyah blinked, stunned by his confession. She lowered the machete but stayed cautious. "So why are you back?" Rico dug into his pocket, pulling out a crumpled $5 bill and placing it on the table. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice shaking. "I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want to make it right. I was wrong to try taking your money." She stared at the bill, then at Rico. Part of her wanted to yell, to chase him off, but she remembered Tyson's words. Everyone deserves a chance. She took a deep breath, poured a cup of coconut water, and slid it toward Rico. "This isn't for sale," she said. "It's a gift, but next time, you pay." Rico looked shocked, holding the cup like it was something precious. He nodded, his eyes brightening slightly. "Thanks, kid. I won't forget this." He turned and walked slowly down the street, his figure shrinking in the sunlight. A few days later, something even more surprising happened. Joey, Carl, and 2 other thugs appeared near the stand, not aggressive but awkward. Joey held a new wooden plank, and Carl carried a can of green paint. "Rico told us about what happened," Joey mumbled. "We want to fix your stand. As an apology." Aaliyah studied them, skeptical but seeing sincerity in their eyes. She nodded, pointing to the damaged table. "Fine, but you better do it right." The thugs smiled, getting to work under Miami's sun, painting the stand and replacing the wood. Mr. Hector watched from afar, nodding, while Lena snapped a photo saying, "This is Coconut Grove's miracle." When the stand was finished, gleaming like new, Aaliyah poured coconut water for the group. "Thanks, Ima," she said. "But from now on, do good, okay?" Joey nodded. Carl gave a shy grin, and they left, no longer bullies. One afternoon, Tyson jogged by, pausing when he saw the revamped stand and a new line on the sign, "Spread kindness for free." He smiled, waving at Aaliyah. "You did great, kid," he called. Aaliyah beamed back, knowing she hadn't just saved her dream, she'd changed the neighborhood. She stood behind her stand, watching the fiery sunset, thinking of her mom, the STEM program, and her promise to Tyson. She'd learned courage wasn't just facing enemies, but believing they could change, and she knew one day she'd pass on this kindness, just as Tyson had done for her. If you saw someone treated unfairly, what would you do? Stand up or walk away? Kindness can change even the most lost hearts. Do you believe that?